Hi, I'm Brandon Grant, Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks. In this video, we're going to demonstrate how you can utilize document approvals to ensure only management-approved documents are sent to clients. By using document approvals, you'll always ensure your quotes and proposals that are sent to your clients are accurate, within margin, and have been properly vetted. So let's get started. First, we'll show you how document approvals work in QuoteWerks, and then we'll demonstrate how you can set approvals up for each user or for a group of users in your installation. In this example, I'm logged in as Joe's sales. Joe has created a fairly simple document, and the document has exceeded $28,000. He's not authorized to send out any document without management approval if it exceeds $25,000. So in this case, Joe will need to request management approval. Requesting approval on the sales side of things is very easy. We're going to click on our deliver icon here, and you're just going to simply build out the document like you typically would. If you have a cover page you want to include, you'll select your layout, your literature files, spec sheets, links, anything that you're ready to actually send this document out to the client. You're going to do everything the exact same way. QuoteWerks will actually notify you if approval is needed for a specific document. So for example, if Joe goes to email this document to his client and he clicks on email, QuoteWerks will open up the approval required notification. This will let him know that this document has not yet been approved for release to the customer, and the reason for that is because the approval is required when the document exceeds $25,000. And then it'll list the approvers. So for Joe, it's going to be very simple. He has two options. If there's something on the document he doesn't need to send, maybe it's an optional item, he could remove it, and that will get him under the $25,000 threshold. He can do that. If he needs to send the document as is because this is what the customer requested, he can then request approval. To request approval, all Joe needs to do is click on the request approval button, and this will open up a new email window. Once the email window opens, you'll see that the to is automatically populated with the approvers, so you don't have to type that in manually. It'll automatically come from Joe. The subject will be set as request for approval with the document name and the document number. We'll also have two options. If you're using QuoteValet, you'll have a link to approve the document via QuoteValet. If you're not using QuoteValet, you can still approve the document manually by clicking on this link here to open the quote directly in QuoteWerks on your local machine. This makes it really easy to get immediate access to this document without having to search or go looking for where this document has been saved, or even making sure it is the correct document. So when we hit send, this will send the approval email or the request for approval email to our approvers. And the approvers will have the option of approving via QuoteValet or clicking on the link. We'll first show you how to approve via QuoteValet, and then we'll show you how to manually approve in QuoteWerks. So if we click on the link and we open up the document in our web browser, you'll see it'll let you know that you're in approval mode. If you haven't logged into QuoteValet yet today, it'll prompt you to log in. And then you can scroll down and click on the line item detail, and you'll actually see the line item information. So if anything looks off or it needs to be adjusted or changed, you can actually come down here, leave it as not approved, and post any notes. If everything looks fine and you just needs to be approved, you can click approved, and you can even leave a note. We can say we'll just say it's approved for client delivery and click submit. And then once you've approved the document, you'll see your approval history will be updated, and you'll see who actually approved it and the timestamp on the document. So now if we go back into QuoteWerks, let's go ahead and close out of here. And let's go ahead and close out of the quote. If we open up this document, you'll actually receive a notification that since you last checked, the document was approved by the administrator today at this time. So we can click OK. And now if we click on the Sale Info tab, you'll see this document is locked. You'll also see down at the bottom the workflow has been added. So the approval request was sent today at 3:38 using QuoteValet, and then it was approved by the administrator using QuoteValet as well. If I were to uncheck this and unlock this document, this would immediately wipe away the approval. If you uncheck the checkbox, you'll see the unlocking will remove approval option will open up, and it will basically tell you that If you click yes, we'll unlock it so you can make adjustments. Maybe you need to send it to a different contact instead, or there's been a last minute change to the document that you need to make. Then you're free to do that, but you will then have to re-request approval. So any changes to the document moving forward would have to have approval. So in our case, I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel since it has been approved, and we'll go ahead and we'll get ready to send this to the customer. So we'll click deliver, upload to Quote Valet, and then we can upload it, and then click send email to send it out to the customer. So very straightforward from the sales rep side of things. QuoteWerks is actually going to take charge of the approvals and funnel the sales reps to request approvals if documents need adjustments. Okay, so let's go back here, and let's say your sales reps decided that they're going to give a really big discount. Say, okay, well, I know I don't need approval if I get under $25,000, so I'll just go in here and we'll add a customer discount, and we'll say it's going to be minus $14,000. So now our document total is down to $13,000, and now I can send this out to the customer without having to request approval. So we're going to go ahead and click deliver, and we'll choose, we need to re-upload this to Quote Valet, and then you'll see now the document has been changed. So the document has not been approved because there's a second approval that's required because the document margin is under a certain amount. So this is a great way to limit reps from making mistakes. So if they forgot to set a price for an item, perhaps they just mistyped an item, maybe they charged $1 instead of it being $1,000. By setting margins on the documents as well as the document total, you can get around them ever making those types of mistakes. So I can see here, document margin is under 12%, it would have to be approved. Well, if I request approval, they're going to see that we have a very large customer discount and most likely not approve it. So I can click OK, come back here, go ahead and delete that, and our document is back in margin, and then I can just go ahead and request approval. So we'll go ahead and we'll request approval again. This time we're going to do it manually. So we'll click OK, and we'll say request approval. And this will open up the email window, and we send it out to our approvers. And then if we close out of here, let's go ahead and log in as another user. So we'll go ahead and we'll log in as the administrator. So now that I'm logged in as the administrator, if I wanted to approve the document manually, I can go into my email and click on that link. And when you click on that link, it's going to open up that document directly in QuoteWerks. So now that we have the document open, we can manually approve it. To manually approve a document, you simply click on File and Approve Quote. And we'll hit yes. And you'll see here that it will automatically open up an email window so you can send it to the sales rep, notifying them that the quote has been approved, and we can hit send, and that'll send it out to Joe Sales to let him know that that document has been approved. And then you simply need to exit the document in order for him to get back in there. So let's log back in as Joe. So Joe's got an email. He knows his quote is now available, and so he can go back into QuoteWerks. He can click on that link to open the document, or just go back to his recent documents and open it. And that will open up the document in QuoteWerks. And you'll see, just like if you had approved it via Quote Valet, the document will be locked. If we go to the Sale Info tab, you'll actually see that the document has been locked and no longer available for editing. Follow the same procedure, click on Deliver, and then you can send it out to the customer. And we can re-upload it to Quote Valet with any of the changes. And then click on Send Email. Okay. Now that we've walked through how to request approval from the sales rep side of things and how to approve it from the manager side of things, let's walk through how to actually set up the approvals in QuoteWerks. To set up approvals, you're going to have to log into QuoteWerks as someone with master rights or the administrator. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and log in as the administrator. And then you'll need to click on Utilities, User Maintenance, and this is where you'll have a couple of options. We'll start with the Profiles tab first. If you click on the Profiles, you can see here it specifically says approval settings profiles. This is where you can set up approval profiles for each of your groups or teams in your organization. This is extremely valuable so you don't have to start from scratch each time you want to create a profile. You can create as many profiles as you need. For our example, I'll go ahead and just create a brand new one so we can walk through that process. So we'll click on the gold button and it'll say create a new profile. And the first one it'll say is name for new shared profile. So for this one, let's just call this sales reps profile. And then the first important setting is going to be require quote approval. And then this is where you can see all the various settings that are available. So the first one is going to be if the document is over a specific dollar amount, then in this case you have 4 options. A single standard approval is required, single escalated, multiple standard, or multiple escalated. And you can combine these to create kind of like a filter on approvals. So for instance, if a document is over maybe $10,000, so we'll put in $10,000, we simply need a single standard approval. This means anyone who is listed as a standard approver can approve it, and it only has to be one. Now maybe if the document is over $25,000, it's going to require multiple standard approvers. So maybe the sales manager and also the VP of sales would need to approve it. So we can go ahead and do that. And then when the document is over maybe $50,000, we want to get a few eyes on it. So we're actually going to do multiple escalated approvers, maybe VP of sales and also the CEO or the COO or someone like that is also going to want to have to approve this document. In addition to the document settings for specific to the dollar amount, you also have the option to protect your margins on documents. So if the document margin is under a certain percentage, maybe you're saying, you know, for everything we send out, the document margin should never be under a certain percentage, should never be under 15%. You can set that. Same thing if the document margin is too high. I know a lot of times government contracts restrict how much margin a company can collect, so you can set that here as well. It could also help signal that an item is not priced correctly if your margin is very, very high, so we can set one here. And then you can also set it on the item level, and this will help specifically with new reps where they may not be familiar with QuoteWerks yet or with your process, and if they forget to set a price on a specific item, this will actually catch it. So if an item's margin falls under a certain percentage, so let's say any single item falls under 10%, then it's going to require approval. Same thing, again, if you're selling to the government, you want to make sure that everything is being priced correctly, want to set a specific margin. And then below are going to be the restrictions. These are what the rep is not going to be allowed to do if they are enacted by checking the checkboxes. So this will not allow them to email it, print, upload it to Quote Valet, save to PDF, convert to order, convert to invoice. Pretty much we always recommend having all of these checked. In some specific instances, it might be important for them to not have one of these checked, so you'll just kind of want to do that on a case-by-case basis, but for the most part, say for the majority of time, you're going to want these set. The next step would be to set up your standard approvers. These are actual QuoteWerks users who have the authority to approve these documents. So we're going to click on change, and this will show you a list of all the users that you've set up in your installation. You can specify individual users by checking their checkbox next to them, or if you want to specify a group, maybe executives are going to be standard approvers, we can click change and set that as well. And then we can follow the same steps for the escalated approvers. Click change, select the specific users, and then click OK. These are the only users that can approve documents in this specific profile, and you will be able to load from this profile and even make some minor adjustments if you want to. So to save your sales rep's profile, click OK, and you'll see the profile now exists under the Profiles tab. Now to apply a profile or specific document approval settings to a user, going to go back to the Users tab. So let's use our Joe Sales example. Let's go ahead and edit him, and you'll click on the Documents tab. And on the Documents tab down at the bottom, you'll see there's a Document Approval Settings option. If we click on that, you'll have a couple options. So first, Joe already has quote approval required, but if I want to load those settings that we just set up, instead of having to do them manually, I can actually choose to obtain them from a shared profile. Click on the drop down, click on Sales Reps, and it'll automatically populate that information. If you want to make any modifications, maybe Joe's been around a long time, so you want to up some of his document settings, you can uncheck this option and it'll actually leave all the settings that you populated in here set, and then you can simply make any adjustments. So maybe instead of 10,000, we're going to move him to 20,000 and 35,000 and 80,000. So he's been around for a long time, knows what he's doing, so we'll go ahead and we'll give him a little bit more of a leeway for this specific example. If I need to adjust any of the standard approvers or the escalated approvers or any of these other settings, I can do that as well, and then simply click OK. Now, if you want to use the settings from a specific profile, we can do that. So we can just reload it here and then click OK. And then when your settings are set, if you want to apply those settings across multiple users, so maybe it's because he's in the inside sales group, you want to apply it to everyone in inside sales, you can click on the Apply To tab, select the settings, so in this case, document approval settings that we want to copy over, and then we can choose who we want to copy these settings to. And in our case, we want to do it to everyone in inside sales, and click OK. And we'll hit yes, and you'll see those settings were copied to 3 users. So the document approvals are very easy to set up, very easy to use, very easy to copy over to other users. So you essentially just need to choose one user in a group or start using groups, and you can copy them over to multiple users, and you can always edit the individual users as well. For more information, or if you have any additional questions about the document approval settings, visit our help file or simply give us a call or send us an email. We'd be happy to help. Thanks for watching.